demo for you of the Avid Cloud Collaboration, which is coming very soon to Pro Tools 12. So if you're not already on Pro Tools 12 and you are a Pro Tools user anyway, then make sure you check out our all access plans where you get upgrades, you can get plugins and support. So make sure you look at that. If you're not on Pro Tools, then you can easily get on the platform with either a perpetual license, or you can choose to subscribe either monthly or as an annual thing.
Avid Cloud Collaboration enables collaboration to be what it should be: simple, easy, and allows our user to be creative. So our idea is that you can be more efficient while you're doing your work, and we do all the file management in the background. This is enabled by Avid's Media Central platform, which includes not only the cloud technology in it, but as well as our world-class applications such as Pro Tools, our control surfaces, which are right around the corner here, and integrated technologies such as AX plugins and Yukon.
So let's talk a little bit about what we're going to show you. So we're going to do a cloud collaboration here using Madonna tracks, actually a Junior Sanchez remix, and we're going to do our own little sort of take on that remix. So when we say cloud collaboration, what we mean is we're actually sharing tracks over the internet. Now, obviously we're here at NAMM, we're standing next to each other, so it's kind of maybe hard for you to visualize, but the audio really is going up to the internet and then back down again. So I'm actually based in Brighton in the UK. You might be able to tell from my accent I'm not from here. Eduardo is from Rio. And so, I mean, we were literally preparing for NAMM at home, collaborating over thousands of miles, and it was working flawlessly. So yeah, we've actually put it into practice. So we'll show you how it all works now. Before we start, let's talk about my system. I've got Pro Tools here running on a MacBook Pro. I'm using the Pro Tools Quartet by Apogee, and I also got this new Pro Tools dock, this new control surface, so please come and check that out. We've got one around the corner as well, and this incorporates the Pro Tools control app.
Exactly, so here I don't have a control surface, but I do have an iPad with the Pro Tools control app, and this app is for free, so we encourage you to download it today from the App Store and try it out with Pro Tools or Logic or Nuendo or any other application that's been Yukonized. We've got a Pro Tools Duet, which is our partnership with Apogee, and it's a great sounding compact interface that's bus powered, so you can do remote recordings very easily with it. And I've got a laptop with Pro Tools 12.5, which will be shipping in March of this year.
Okay, so let's start out by using the artist chat. So this is a new window in Pro Tools which allows us just to communicate using just text chat. So I'm just going to see if Eduardo is about and ready to start doing some work.
All right, so using the chat window is great so that we can be giving each other feedback during the production process. So you'll be seeing us chatting a lot through there.
Definitely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create what's called a project. So a project in Pro Tools 12 is different to a session in that it's cloud-based, and this is what's going to be the basis for our cloud collaboration. So, you know, when I open up, it looks just like a regular Pro Tools session, as you can see, but it's already started to post some of these tracks up to the cloud. So if I go back to my artist chat, I can see my list of projects here, and also have people who I have contact with. These are my contacts. I can choose which one I'm going to do share with one. So there's Eduardo on the list there. I'm going to invite him to my project.
All right, so you can see in my system I got a notification letting me know that I've got a project that's been shared with me. I'm going to accept by clicking on the green check mark. And once I do that, if I go to my dashboard, you'll see that the project's right there. So all I have to do is open it, and now all that information that he's posted up in his system, which was the key of the song, the tempo of the song, any markers, now it's been downloaded to my system, and we got this empty template to start working from.
Okay, so again on the notifications on my side, you can see here it says Eduardo's joined the project, and now we've got this new project chat window which enables us to communicate about this specific job. So what I want to do is just let him know that I need to sort of get going. I haven't actually created anything in this project yet. We're starting it from scratch, so he needs to wait just a second until I'm ready to go. So I'm going to just drop in some drums in there. I've got a sort of a pre-prepared sort of house kind of drum groove, which I'm just going to use as the starting point for this. So let's have a quick listen to that. Okay, it's just 1 bar, 4 on the floor, house drums. So I'm going to use one of the many music creation features in Pro Tools that we have in here. It's creating what's called a clip loop. So this, if I just type in A to here, it's going to create an 8-bar loop. So just looping that clip round and round, and I can then just get my trimmer tool and drag it, make it longer and shorter. It's a very, very cool and very powerful workflow. So I've got my basic drums in there. Just also point out we're using Falcon from UVI as our drum sampler. It's a really great synthesizer actually, synthesizer and sampler, very, very powerful. We're using it in a very basic way in this session, but you should definitely check that out. Right, so now I want to bring in another track. So I've got, actually no, before I do that, I suddenly realised that the producer they sent us an audio file I need to work from, so I actually probably ought to have a listen to that before I do anything myself and get an idea of how they think the track should go. So I've dropped this loop into my track. Let's have a quick listen of what we need to work with. So you can hear this sort of 303 thing going on. So that 303 part's going to give me the basis for what I want to do. So let's, I want to double that up with a bass synth. So I'm going to use the one of my favourites at the moment, which is 5 Manchuria, which is a really nice mini moog plugin. So just drop that into my session there. So if you have a look on here, so there's the Moog. It's really great sound plugin. Nice, lots of bottom end on that. We're actually running that through the Millennia compressor, which comes from it's one of the Plugin Alliance plugins. It's a Brainworks plugin, really nice, gives it sound a bit of warmth and so on. So that's my plugin chain for that, and I'm going to cheat and just drop in the MIDI part on this playlist rather than to play it in myself. So let's have a quick listen to what we've got so far. The basic parts in there, so I'm going to send those to Eduardo, but before I do that I want to show you a couple of things that are new in Pro Tools. First of all, something that came in 12.3, and this is something called Commit. So what Commit does, it actually allows you to render out the audio that's on a track, choosing whether you go through the plugin processing, choosing whether you have the volume or the mute information, and actually renders it out to a brand new track. So I'm going to take this audio submaster. All of my tracks are running through this audio submaster. I've got MIDI, MIDI clips. I've got my sampler, and I've got my auxiliary tracks. Everything going through this auxiliary submaster. So if I choose to commit that, it will just turn all that lot into audio, into one single audio track, and that makes it much easier to share with somebody than necessarily sharing all those individual MIDI clips. The other thing I want to do, you can hear me over the noise, is show you the freeze function. Freeze came in Pro Tools 12.4. What freeze does is it allows you to basically render all the audio that's going through a track, but just holds it in place. It doesn't create a new track this time. It just, what it does is turns my, in this case I've got MIDI information, just turns that MIDI into audio, deactivates the plugin, and means that I've got all that processing power available to me. But it also really helps when we're collaborating, because I can send this over to Eduardo. He may not have some of these instruments, so if I send it over to him as a frozen track, then it means that he can sort of play this back and have the same, hear the same sounds that I have without necessarily having to have the same plugins. Right, so let's move on. I've got all these ready to go. So the last thing I just want to show you is this new track upload button. So this shares an audio track. I'm going to use the Option Shift command in Pro Tools, which is do selected, and just share those selected tracks with Eduardo. So it's going to now push those up to the internet, ready for him to download. So I'm going to go back to the project chat and let him know that I have some tracks.
Okay. So I'll download it now. Okay, so as you can see in my system, I'm finishing downloading these tracks. To my task manager, we saw that, and now we've got these new sets of buttons in Pro Tools. The up arrow, the down arrow, and this one that's lit up in green, and that's letting me know that there's been tracks that have been shared with me. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and once I do, the tracks have showed up in my session. So let's take a listen and see how they're sounding. Alright, so they sound the same as they do in his system. I think it sounds great, but I'm going to do some changes, especially to the bass sound. So what I want to do is make it sound a little grittier, and I'm going to add a third bass layer using an instrument by Air called Loom.
But before you do that, I'm going to actually carry on some stuff over here. So we're working in these remote locations, so the cloud collaboration means that we can work in parallel. So I'm going to add some more elements over here. Eduardo's going to add some more elements over there, and then we'll kind of synchronize them all up in a moment.
Exactly. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to unfreeze this bass track, bass arturia, because I do have that virtual instrument in my library. And once I do that, that track's been turned into MIDI. I'm actually going to add a plugin here, since I'm going to be adding a third bass part here, and I don't want to oversaturate the low end. I'm going to add a plugin by DSP, which I like a lot, which is an F202. It's a great sounding filter. I'm just going to filter out a bit of that low end so that I got a tighter bass sound. All right. Bring it down a bit. All right, that sounds good. Okay, so once I got that done, I'm going to create instrument track with this VI, and now I'm going to take advantage of the track that I own froze that's got the MIDI in it, and I'm going to copy it down to this new track with the loom, and I'm going to add that into my session. So let's take a listen to how that sounds. All right, let's sneak that in there. All right, I think that sounds great. So now I'm ready to record some guitars into this track. So for the sake of efficiency, I'm going to be using a plugin by Avid called 11 Mark II. And the Mark II is our second edition of the plugin, which has got a bunch of new amps and cab sounds in it. And the great thing about using it is that if he doesn't like the sound that I've chosen, he can always change it. So let me create this track with the 11 inserted in it. And let's look at how it looks so you guys can get familiarized. Okay, so I'll give myself a count off, click, and let's do some recording. All right, I think that's good enough. So let me just blend that in the mix. I think that sounds good enough. I'm going to send that back to Dave, but before I do that, I don't know if he's got the new edition of the 11 Mark II, so I'm going to freeze, use a feature in ProTools that came out in 12.4, which is called freeze up to this insert. So I love this functionality, and I've been using it a lot. And what basically it does, it renders out all the processing that plugin was doing to the audio up to that point, and it frees up all the other inserts after that, so that if he wants to make tweaks to this compressor, or if he wants to add any other compressor of his choice or any effects, he's going to be free to do that and continue working. So I'm going to select these two tracks, and I'm going to push this track upload icon, which is going to be available in 12.5. And once I do that, he's going to get a notification in his system that he's got new tracks, but I'm going to let him know through the text chat that he's got what he's got exactly. So got the guitar up, track uploaded, as well as new bass line.
So I now have those tracks, and as I said before, we are actually really working, in the cloud. We're pushing these tracks up to the internet. We're using our internet connection here. So those tracks that Eduardo said to me have been pushed up to the cloud, and I've downloaded them already. And again, if you're watching on R2 Systems, you can see the activity monitor, task manager, showing you what's going on. So I've now got these tracks which are ready to download. So click on that there, and they'll drop into my system. And you can see here, basically, Guitar F, these two tracks that were over there and now over here. So let's have a listen to those new elements. So you can hear it sounds just the same as you heard them on Eduardo's system, as they should do. So the loom bass is great, I think, but this guitar part, now actually I do have the 11 plug-in, so what I'm going to choose to do is to unfreeze that particular track. What that will do is it will just take off the frozen audio, give me access back to the 11 plug-in. I can get in there and start to tweak it. But maybe I'm not going to do that today. What I want to do is just add one more plug-in to it, because I think it just needs a little bit more, there's something to sort of drop it into the track a little bit more. So I can put this flanger on. The flanger comes from a collection of plugins which are taken directly from our 11 rack interface over here. Some really great sort of processing plugins. It can be used guitars, but work great on anything. So if you have the 1-year plugin and support package, then you get these plugins as part of it. They're very cool. So let's have a listen to the guitar with the flanger. So now that I've made that change, so I really ought to sort of tell Eduardo that I've done that. And you can see already on this track I've got this green up arrow. That tells me I've made some changes to the track, but I need to share them with the person I'm working with. So if I share that with Eduardo, I'm going to tell him that I've added a flanger to the guitar so that he knows what I've done. So just send him this message using the chat.
Okay, so I'll let him know that I'm going to be checking it now. As you can see in my system, I'm downloading that change. And in the guitar track, the down arrow that's on it has been lit up, letting me know that there's been a change done specifically to that one track. And also, if he's done that to multiple tracks, I could download the change to all of them simultaneously by clicking the big up arrow that's in the top of the session. But since it's only that one, I'm going to just get that one specific track. Now I've got the flanger in my system because I do have an Avid All Access plan active. So let's hear how it sounds. Alright, so it sounds exactly the same preset that he's put on the plugin has come to my system, and I'll just let him know that I enjoyed it a lot, so I like that sound.
Okay, so we didn't tell you at the beginning of this that we're working on a Madonna remix, so we probably ought to drop some Madonna vocals in there. So what I've done is I've imported some vocals in that have been sent to me already, dropped those into the session, and dropped a couple of other sort of synth parts in as well. So let's have a listen to those new elements in the vocals and see how things are shaping up. Okay, so I'm going to send those to Eduardo, so it means that then he can listen to what I've got, and then he can add some more elements to that. But again, we're going to use this feature we talked about before, which is commit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to commit that vocal. So all those little vocal elements actually consist of some parts which came from the original track, and maybe I don't want to send those necessarily to the person I'm working with. So it means that if I commit it, I just send a smaller audio file, and also they don't get all the individual vocal elements. So I just again right-click, just commit that, and it will just turn all those audio tracks into a single rendered file, which is perfect. I'm also going to send these 2 other tracks that I created, and again just push those up. So let him know that you've got more tracks on the way. So vocals are coming, and also some synths.
All right. So as you can see in his system, you'll see in the task manager, he's uploading those tracks. I'm downloading it to my system, so it's actually very quick, you know, considering that's going all the way to the internet and back down. And now I'm just going to click on the download tracks icon, which I've shown, and let's hear how it sounds. Okay, that sounds good, but I think that I've lost the transients a bit of the track since we put all these bass layers, guitars, voices. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring in a loop from a collection from our friends at Loop Masters. They actually have a very extensive collection. And the great thing about using our workspace to bring in these sounds is that if I have this metronome icon lit up, it's going to conform the tempo of those loops to the tempo of the session. So it's a great tool for me to preview these sounds while I'm working in a production. So I'm going to select an 8-bar loop, go back to that window, and let's preview these loops. I like this last one. I think it's the one that complements the track but doesn't, let's say, it's not too invasive. So I've dropped that into my timeline, and because I had that metronome icon on, it's already conformed to the tempo of the session inside my ProTools session. Let me just balance that out. So without it, with it. Alright, I think that adds the excitement I was looking for. I'm going to push that back to him. And I'm going to let him know that he's got something new that he can work on. So got a new loop up. if it works later.
Yeah, so I'll let you know what I think. Obviously, I'm the owner of this project, so you know, it has to pass the test to see if I'm happy with it before I can let it pass. So now that we've got these tracks downloaded, so if I just click on the download icon, and again, you can see how very quickly it just drops that into my session there. You can see this track has appeared here, just as it was in Eduardo's session. So let's just play that all back for you as where we're up to so far. Okay, so that's given you a flavour of what you can do with the Avid Cloud Collaboration. So we've just, we've been creating, throwing tracks backwards and forwards. We can carry on adding elements. We can then start working on the arrangement. All these things are going to be possible. So, hopefully that you've got an idea of how that's going to work when it comes out at the end of March.
And if you have any questions, we're going to be here in between demos, so you can ask us about these new features or any Avid products for that matter. And please join the Avid artist community at ac.avid.com, or you'll be able to connect with other users, join the community, and post your work as well online. Thank you very much for your time, and have a great NAMM.
Thank you.